Welcome to the Planet Rock Podcast, the hottest show in the cosmos. Get ready for insight and inspiration right here on Planet Rock with your special guest, Matthew Jean, and your cosmic guide through our ever-changing space and time. I'm your host, Raquel Herring. Hello, and welcome back to the Planet Rock Podcast, your go-to spot for all things relationships, personal growth, and navigating life's twists and turns. From the depths of dating and marital dynamics to the heights of spiritual journeys, entrepreneurship, money, pets, and plants, we explore every facet of the human connection. I'm Raquel Herring, your cosmic companion on this wild ride called life, because I know life be lifing. Each episode of Planet Rock is packed with insights and inspiration to help you thrive in this ever-changing world. From heartwarming stories to candid conversations, we're here to empower you and uplift your spirit. Tune in every Thursday at noon on envision-radio.com for some real talk, real people goodness. And don't forget to catch the video premiere replay on YouTube every Saturday at 11 a.m. But I don't know if I'm going to do it that time. I think about 6 p.m. But don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with all our latest episodes. And follow me on social media for updates, and swing by my website at raquelherring.com to stay connected. So settle in and let's rock your world one relationship at a time right here on Planet Rock. In today's episode of the Planet Rock Podcast, we're diving deep into the world of relationships with a very special guest, Matthew Jean, because that's what we do here. Matthew is a licensed marriage and family therapist, author, and public speaker who has dedicated his career to empowering individuals and couples to navigate their relationships with confidence and clarity. He specializes in Black male wellness and mental health advocacy, helping people break through barriers and build strong connections. In this episode, we're covering a wide range of essential topics, from recognizing red flags in relationships to offering practical advice for new couples. We'll also explore how social media impacts our relationships and the importance of healing after a breakup, and how to strike the perfect balance between independence and partnership. So whether you're in a new relationship, healing from a past one, or simply looking to strengthen your current connection, Matthew is going to bring a wealth of knowledge and insights to help you that you don't want to miss. So let's get ready to learn, grow, and thrive as we welcome Matthew Jean to Planet Rock Podcast. Hey, welcome back, Matthew.
So good to be back, and congratulations on your Queen of Thursdays, I believe, right?
Yes! Oh my God, thank you so much. And congratulations to you on baby number 6?
7.
7. Oh my gosh, yeah. You are putting them out. You making it happen over there. Yes. Somebody need to have the babies.
Yes, we are. Fruitful and multiply is what we were told, right?
That's right. Amen.
Thank you.
So we're going to tackle a critical yet often overlooked topic, right? And that's recognizing relationship red flags.
Right.
So whether people are in the early stages of relationships or years in a commitment, identifying red flags is an essential part, I think, of maintaining a healthy connection, or even getting involved in a relationship anyway. So the warning signs are often, I guess they can be subtle, right? But then sometimes they're really big. And then we try to because we want something, we try to overlook them or be like, oh no, well, it's not so bad, but they're for real red flags. So guide us through the common red flags that we like to overlook.
Yeah, I think this is such a great topic to talk about, because it is a subject that is overlooked a lot as far as looking for the red flags. I think what we've learned how to do is come into relationships already having an idea of what those red flags are.
Okay.
And then sometimes it allows them to be put under a microscope, so they're magnified, you know. And so we can get to the red flags after we know all of our green flags.
Okay.
What that means is that you have to have an understanding of what a healthy relationship and balance feels like for you, right?
Wow.
And so before we start to look for the things that aren't going right, let's look for the things that make us feel honored, respected, cherished, you know, loved, understood, cared for, you know. And so once you have a repertoire of understanding for yourself, it's easier then to see the absence of those things as flags, rather than the presence of the things that you don't want. Right. And so look for the absence of the things that you actually desire, because when we look for the things that we desire, more likely than not, we'll find those things.
Okay.
But in the state where we're looking for those flags, those red flags, then you're going to find them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not to say that we're not supposed to have an idea of what those red flags are. I think our society does a really great job of preparing us for the red flags, for that shoe to drop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
You know, you know what movie comes to mind for me, which is the silly movie Boomerang with Eddie Murphy, and you know, his red flags were all like simple things, you know, like really, really basic things in this movie, and yet a lot of the good things were overlooked because of one or two red flags. You know? So what I'm saying is that let's have our focus primarily on the green flags, the things that make us feel loved, understood, protected, honored, you know, valued, cherished. And then in the absence of those, you know, the feeling it feels like to have those. When it's not there, then you know that this is not a space where you can actually invest too much time in. Because now being there in the absence of the things that you desire is costing you, right? So now we're redefining what the red flags are. The red flags aren't the things that people bring to the table that aren't healthy. It's the absence of those things that we actually desire that make us feel loved, honest, cherished, understood, valued, right?
Yeah.
When those things aren't there, what you know, then what are we doing? Right. If there's no understanding on our growth potential towards building those things up, then it's almost like you're allowing the red flags to then enter in, right?
Yeah.
When you're spending more time in a space where you're not receiving those things that you desire, that's the red flag for you.
But now, how do we figure out those things that we desire? Because like sometimes, you know, some of us may have not had like, I want to say like healthy relationships, or we may think, well, concentrating on things that I desire may seem kind of selfish.
Yes.
So like, how do we balance that?
That's a great question too, because, you know, I think you said it in the question, you know, like it does feel a little bit selfish, right? But all relationships are selfish.
Oh, okay.
Right? And let me make that make sense for you. Not in a sense to where I am withholding good from you. Relationships should be selfish because we are here to have our wants, needs, and desires met. When a child comes into this world, listen, it's all about that child right now, right? And when they don't get their needs met, they'll let you know, right? But I think for us, what we've learned how to do is suppress our wants, needs, and desires for the sake of relationships that don't necessarily value or reciprocate those back to us.
Right.
You know? And so there comes a point in time where you have to know yourself enough, understand yourself enough to say yes to you first, right? And in you receiving those things that allow you to feel loved, valued, then you bring your best self to that relationship, right? And because I'm being selfish enough to say I have to take care of me first, when I am well, healthy, balanced, everyone around me benefits from that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that's the point where, you know, I think sometimes people misuse that word selfish, right?
Yes.
It's really self-care that I'm referring to. And self-care is a little bit selfish when you start to understand, well, what do I need? I haven't actually had a healthy relationship. So let me take some time to explore the ideas of what do I need to feel safe?
Yeah.
What do I need to feel valued? What do I need to feel loved, cherished? And then as you answer those questions, you're building a rubric for then what those things are to look forward to in the relationship, right?
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. You know,
Please.
if you tell a child, we're going to Disney World, right?
Yes.
That kid will be excited from the day you tell that kid they're going to Disney World to the day
Right.
they arrive. It could be a month, a year, and they're looking forward to it, right? Because they have an idea of what that destination is. They have something to look forward to.
Right.
When you know the feeling of joy, love, and abundance and all that stuff for you, you have an idea to then forecast something good into your future, right?
Yes.
Because you already know what it feels like to be loved, you know, cherished, valued. You've put in that work to where you're giving yourself those things, right?
Yes.
You know what your heart desires. And then once you start to fill those things in, no imitation can come in.
Yeah.
And the substitute of what is actually real for you, right?
Yes.
You have to know that for yourself, meaning sometimes we have to slow down and ask and then answer the question for your own heart, for your own mind, for your own spirit. What allows me to feel well? What allows me to feel valued? What allows me to feel balanced? And once you answer those questions, that's what you bring as far as the compatibility you're asking for on the other side of the equation, because that's what you're bringing. You're bringing that balance. You're bringing that genuineness. You know, you're going to bring affection. You're going to bring understanding. You're going to bring compassion. And so therefore, if I'm bringing that because I give myself that daily, then that wouldn't be too much to say that that's what I desire from my partner as well.
I see. So it takes probably some time for us to get to know ourselves, being introspective to determine what do I like first, like, how do I want to have a relationship? How do I want to experience it? Right.
Yes. Yes.
And then, like you say, treating ourselves that way.
Right.
Wow. That's
It's a lot to wrap your mind around, because I think what we've been taught to do is to accommodate in a lot of our relationships.
Right.
Right.
Parenting is very selfish. Feel selfish.
Yeah, parenting is very selfish as well, because yes, I'm raising my children, but man, once I get that smile from my baby, it's over. I feel like I'm getting back what I put in, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I love about parenting, because I give, and then once it's given back to me, man, it feels so much. It feels so good, because I know that's what I brought to the equation. And when it's being reciprocated back to me, that's when you have balance. You know,
I see.
So if you have an understanding of what makes you feel those things, and you bring that to the equation, you ever heard, you know, don't ask for the change, be the change, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And so what do you desire to be different? You become that difference, and then you bring that to the equation of the relationship, and the relationship will benefit from your difference, from you paying attention to your mind, your heart, your spirit, and getting your desires fulfilled. It's not a selfish endeavor, because everyone around you benefit from you understanding what you need to feel balanced, love, appreciated, affect, you know, all those things. Everyone around us benefit from that.
That's good. Yes. And it's not selfish. And I like that. Not to take care of yourself and to know what you want and to expect that, you know, and to expect it to be reciprocated.
Yes.
Now, when it's not reciprocated,
there you
then
go.
what?
When it's not reciprocated, the value of the relationship then come into question, right? Because when it's not reciprocated, then you have to ask yourself, am I being valued in the same way I value myself? And if the answer is yes, that means the value that you desire is there. Then you can then work towards building what's missing, right? But if the answer is no, right? If the answer is no, that you're not being valued in the relationship the way you desire, then accountability can't be built there, right? Yeah, that's a hard space to build accountability in when you're not being valued in that relationship.
Yeah.
Right? The people who value me will be accountable to the change that's necessary to maintain the relationship we have.
Yes.
But people who don't value us, right? And not to say that's a good or a bad thing, but it's honest. If you don't value me, let me know.
Right.
And if I know this, then I can make a decision to either, you know, improve on the relationships I do have, or create boundaries in the relationships that I have, you know, that needs boundaries, you know? And so I think what we have to understand is what will make me feel valued, right? And then what makes me feel valued, right?
Yes.
Now, there are certain things that people can't meet all the time, you know, or, you know, and life happens and they may not be able to then come into the relationship with that balance. That doesn't mean that they can't have that balance. We have to see and understand what people are committed to as far as change, right?
Ah, yes.
Right. And so
That
I may
makes
not
sense.
be able to meet all of the wants, needs, and desire, but do I have in my own mind, heart, a desire to improve? Right?
Yes,
Can
yes,
you tell that I'm genuine about saying, you know what? You're right. I
yeah.
absolutely have to get better in this and hold me
Mm-hmm.
accountable to it. I'm going to go get the right help that I need. I'm gonna work
Mm-hmm.
on this. I'm going to, you know,
I
and then
totally understand.
now we can have a space of accountability, right?
Yes,
Now we
yes.
can have a conversation about, you know what, I do understand you value me and it's going to take a while, but let's work there. You know, we can get there together is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
so,
that's like a true partnership. You know, you're communicating what I need, communicating with each other, and willing to meet each other's needs,
right.
as opposed to being like, well, I'm just not going to do that. You know, but participating in a partnership. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, how do we distinguish between, maybe you answered this, like a normal relationship challenge and like a true, like, that's just not going to work?
Yeah. Yeah. Normal relationship challenge don't allow you to then feel devalued to the point of then upsetting your balance, you know,
Okay.
meaning like normal relationship challenge will cause you to feel some sadness,
Mm-hmm.
some anxiety, some grief. But when it starts to linger and it
Mm-hmm.
starts to be consistent and it starts
Mm-hmm.
to be consecutive and it starts to show up more than you're comfortable with or more than you can manage, then you have to ask yourself, then, you know, are we on the same page? Do you understand the things that allow me to feel valued? Are
Yeah.
you able to then keep my heart, my mind, my emotions safe? Am I putting myself in a situation to where it's not getting better? Am I turning a blind
Mm.
eye? You know? And so
Yeah.
relationship issues are common, meaning
Yeah.
you will have disagreements
Yes.
naturally. You will
Yeah.
have issues where one person is dysregulated, meaning you're not in your normal self. You may have worked a long day. You're tired. You may not want to have a conversation. That's fine. You may even be argumentative because it's hot outside or it's
Yeah.
cold, you know, naturally, right? But when these things are starting to show up consistently, then
Mm.
it starts to tell you something about your value, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is my
Mm-hmm.
value being seen and understood and respected in this equation?
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
so I think when it starts to show consistently that, man, this person, did we have this conversation? You know, you have to keep revisiting this, you know, and
Yeah.
is it being understood? Or do you know, when you have to then keep on justifying, explaining, rationalizing over and over and over for a period of time. And it has to be based on your capacity. Some people have greater capacity or higher tolerance for that, you know. Others,
Mm.
they can't manage it. And you
Yeah.
have to know yourself enough to say, enough is enough. I have to make a
Yeah.
decision. And it's not that, you know, when the relationship is over, the name relationship is over, that person now is a throwaway, meaning that person doesn't have value to me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
If we were dating, we can go back to friends if you can manage that relationship.
Right.
You know,
Right.
right? If we were engaged, we can go back to something else if you can manage that relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you
Mm-hmm.
can't, then you have to determine what type of boundary you have to put up to make sure that you're always protected.
Yes. And what about if you feel like you detect there's an issue, but then you feel hesitant about addressing them? Because sometimes you're hesitant because you don't want to lose the person or you don't want to lose
Yeah,
the relationship. So you're like, it's almost like hiding. And like you say, making that compromise,
yeah,
like not really honoring ourselves.
yeah.
What advice would you give in
That's
addressing
a
that?
great question. That's what intimacy is about.
Mm-hmm.
Intimacy is a house where everything is possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no rooms that you can't visit, right? There's no
Yes.
time of day that you can't visit the rooms, right?
Right.
Because you create the advantage of how you explore the rooms based on what you desire, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
thing in sports called home court advantage, where you play on your home field and you feel the advantage of being in a space that you're familiar with. That's what
Okay.
good relationships and intimacy feels like. You know what environment, atmosphere, time of day to then best create the conversation to then talk about whatever is going on, right?
Okay. Yes.
We are more comfortable to discuss the good than we are the sad, the things that make us anxious, the things that gives us disappointment, the things that gives us grief, right? But all of those are intimate. All of those are conversations that allow us to feel close to each other. And the closer we feel to each other, the more we can have vulnerability where we can be naked and unashamed, meaning no conversation is left, unspoken. No emotion is left unaddressed. No argument is left unattended. No heart is left so we have the space for it. And what intimacy is an intentionality we have towards connection in our mental, in our emotional, in our physical, in our spiritual, in our social, in our relationships, in our relational, right? You create what that environment is to then have those exchanges. Meaning, you know what, for me, I know the best time for me would be in the morning. And because my partner allows me to have that intimate conversation with them, then they will accommodate and be there in the morning or in the evening or outside or inside, right? Yes. Or with music playing in the background, or I may have to light a candle, get some aroma, right?
Yes.
Whatever the time is, whatever the setting is, you created to then have those conversations.
I remember you saying that before, set the environment.
Yes, right?
Yeah. Like if you go to a meeting, you'd have all the snacks and the drinks and whatever is necessary to.
Right.
I remember you saying that. That's so interesting to me.
If you care for a person, then you want to make sure they feel safe as well when we're having difficult conversations, right?
Yes.
And so because I value you enough, I want to know, listen, I want to have this conversation with you. What would you need to feel safe so we can talk about this? Right? And for each person is different.
Yeah.
For men, let me give you some, I'm gonna snitch on the men for a second.
Please do.
Sometimes we don't know what that setting is for us.
Okay.
We don't know what that setting is for us to be vulnerable enough to receive, right?
Okay.
Sensitive information, And so sometimes when we receive the information outside of the context of us being safe, we reject it. We don't know how to manage it. Then we project. And then God forbid that you're asking us to then deliver, sensitive, emotional, vulnerable information outside of when we feel that we have home court advantage, then it's going to be a difficult conversation for us. So the idea is for the individual, the man or the woman, to understand what they need to feel safe in order to have those difficult conversations. I'll give you an example, right? Or a true example. When I was working at school back in South Florida, I was relieved of my duties, right? I was relieved is what I'd say. I was relieved. And I had to go back and tell my wife that, I got relieved from this position. And it was a difficult conversation for me because I felt ashamed. Right. So how do men bring shame into the equation of a relationship? Right. We don't. We hide it. We mask it. We act like everything's OK. I got this. Or we get angry, or we get protective, or But what I really needed was a space where I can be vulnerable and talk about my shame.
Yeah.
Talk about my sadness. Talk about my guilt.
Yeah.
Talk about my fears. Talk about my disappointment. And I had to know that setting for me first. I can't wait for someone to set that place up for me. Unless I've already previously had a conversation about what accountability I need in creating these atmospheres, these settings to where I can be as vulnerable as I need. So for men, you really have to take your time and not rush, but understand what home court advantage, what is a safe environment for them to then receive and exchange and give when it comes to being vulnerable. And talk about those difficult conversations.
What did your safe space look like? Like how?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, my safe space is usually outside, in nature, right? A walk, right? A lot of our best conversations since my wife and I started dating was on the beach.
Okay.
Right? We go for long walks on the beach and have those difficult conversations, right? The water's there, the breeze is there, the elements are there,
Yes.
And so it allows it allowed me to feel safe. And plus I'm a water sign and all that other stuff that goes with that. And so naturally I felt at ease,
Okay.
And so I can deliver a conversation. I can even get emotional. I can even shed a couple tears,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's where you feel free.
Yeah. I feel free enough to then be vulnerable. right?
Yeah.
And so, of course, since then, it has grown to where other atmospheres have been conducive enough for me to feel safe. But that's where I feel the most safe, by the water.
I don't think we spend time like really thinking that, or really like being okay with that
Right.
there is a safe space, and this is where I feel most safe to have these conversations. I'm not quite sure that we as couples or just individuals really think about that. Like sometimes we just shoot off wherever.
Right. And here's the issue with that. When we rush to get to the conclusion,
yeah,
what happens when we rush? We make a lot of mistakes.
Yep.
We overlook certain things. We're not attentive enough. And then in the rushing, we create more anxiety. We create more stress. And so now, instead of curating an environment, you're destroying the environment you're actually in.
Yeah.
I got to get an answer. No, tell me. What did you mean by that? And the person's like, look, not right now, right? Like, now's not a good time. You're like, no, and then
no, right now.
We're clashing.
Yeah.
Right? And so let's do this. Let's take our time, right, to set up that appropriate space to then feel valued, to where you can process information safely. You're not going based on your emotions. You're in your rational mind. You can talk about your emotions, but you're not letting the emotions control what is being said,
right?
How it's being said, right? How it's being said, meaning the tone we use, the
makes
words,
a big difference.
Big difference, right?
Words,
Once you create that advantage, then the words come out differently.
Yeah.
And the tone comes out differently.
Because we're at ease. We're like you say, we're okay. We're safe to feel vulnerable. And you're right. The words, the behavior, everything is different, and it's more welcoming and acceptable than the other way. Absolutely. Well, let's shift gears to focus on like those exciting times when the relationship is new, and yet sometimes it can be a tricky journey for new relationships. So but it's exciting. So what advice for new couples would you give to help, lay out a strong foundation right from the start? Because you have the honeymoon phase. Beginning to build something special, the early stages, they are really exciting. And so the stages of a relationship are obviously crucial for setting the tone for future. So let's shift gears to focus on the exciting yet sometimes tricky journey of new relationships. The advice for new couples, it's all about helping us lay down a strong foundation right from the start. Because, when it's new, you're in that honeymoon phase and it's just beginning to build something special in these early stages of a relationship. But it's crucial for setting a strong foundation, setting the tone for the future, because we want to have, I want to have an advantageous relationships and relationships just in general. So what are some of the essential conversations that new couples should have early in their relationship?
Yeah, I love the early relationship phase, the honeymoon phase, where everything is being seen through rose-colored glasses. It's wonderful. And I think we lose that because we lose our sense of destination. Like, where are we going? We believe that we've arrived in the relationship, right? You're mine and I'm yours, and now I'm comfortable, and now I don't have to put too much effort, and then right? But the relationship is always new because I'm new today. I'm new today. You're new today, meaning every day we wake up, it's a new self. It's a new day. I'm changing, right? My mind is growing. My heart, my desires are growing. So what we see early on is that we're paying attention to the growth of the relationship. We feel jumping from one stage to the next. This is exciting. I just met someone, a stranger that has now become my friend. That's exciting. It's a shift. It's a graduation. Now, this friend just sent me some flowers. Oh, that's beautiful. Now this friend is interested. Now we're dating. That's beautiful. So you feel that process, but then you get to a state of comfortability in the relationship where you stop paying attention to the growth, to the small things that allow you to then appreciate that person and value. So what I would say is that never stop paying attention to the changes that you're making and that your partner is making, so that it's always brand new for you.
How do you do that? How do you, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. You get to that state of engagement or marriage, and then you kind of drop your guard off, and then you know. But that same person that you engaged, you were once dating.
Yes.
Right? You were once friends, right?
Yes.
And that friendship sometimes is neglected. The dating portion of the relationship sometimes is neglected, right? And so we lose sight of what actually got us there. Maintenance, right? And so you have to maintain the relationship by still being curious about the friendship, by still making time for the dating, by still creating space to then engage that person.
Wow. Well, now you are married.
Yes.
You have 7 babies.
6, 1 on the way.
One on the way. I just summed it up.
Yeah, you did.
How do you do that? How do you maintain that that balance, that dating, that we're new every day? How do you do that? Because your career, your wife's career, I mean, you get busy. And now you're married with children, you have your careers. How do you keep that going to make sure it stays fresh?
Right. Whatever you value, you pour into.
Okay.
Right. Whatever you value, pour into. And what takes our attention away from the things that we value then shows where we actually are putting our value towards. Right. I talk to men all the time about how they spend their time. Men, of course, we'll get to women in a second. And so a lot of men watch sports, right? 3 hours out of the day, 6 hours on the weekend, 12 hours if you count the entire weekend, right? That's a lot of time you're investing because they value that. They value sports. It's an escape for them, right? Yeah. But the relationship should be valued as well. If you value it, then be intentional in creating the time. So for my wife and I, we create time, right? We have a designated time every week where we're together, and that's Thursday nights. Thursday nights are our date nights for the past 7 to 8 years.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
Thursday nights. But it's not just Thursday nights. Intimacy can be felt every single day, right? In every single moment. I don't have to be with my wife to then have an intimate connection with her. I can be thinking about her. She can be thinking about me, and that's intimacy right there.
Okay.
Right? She can send me a message. I can send her a message. I can be intentional in creating a space before she returns from a space, right? If she's working all day, I can have coffee waiting for her, tea waiting for her, right? All of those things are intentional thoughts that then allows me to feel connected to her and allows her to feel connected to me, right? And then in the other aspects of our life, we are a great tandem, right? Meaning when she needs me, I'm there. When I need her, she's there. All of that is intimate. Yeah. I think sometimes we just think of the romantic aspect of the relationship as the only aspect of the relationship that's valuable, right? Yeah. Yeah. But there are other spaces where we can actually show value that still create intimacy, and it's in the intentionality of knowing what that is for my wife and knowing what that is for me, and then having conversations around how that makes sense, right?
Well, I like how you said like the intimacy, because it's more than just that, romantic part. Right. Like you said, it's thinking about her, or she's thinking about you having the coffee ready, having tea ready. Right. I like that because it's like keeping that person at the top of your mind.
Right.
Now, what happens to us that we seem to not be able to keep that up? It's cool in the day, but we seem to drop the ball. What happens to us?
Life, and listen, life be life. And this world has a good way of getting us to then do what society says are important. Right. Yes. And so we are so used from elementary school, high school, college, work, checking boxes. When we check that box, then everything should be, what you want me to do? I already put up the trash, right? I'll wash the dishes. What else do you want, right? I want intimacy. I want to know that you're thinking about me. I want to know that you desire me. I want to know that you care for me. I want to know that you value me. And what does that look like? I have to know that first and communicate that to you, right? And so in order to not let life prioritize our lives for us, we have to slow down and learn how to say yes to the things that our hearts desire and no to the things that pull us away from those things we desire, right? I have to be very cautious of what I say yes to, because that's my energy. And if
Yes.
I'm drained before I get back to my family, I'll have nothing for them.
Right.
You know?
Right.
There's this great conversation that Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin had, right?
Okay.
That talked about how men can go out of the home and offer their best selves to the workspace.
Yes.
Offer their best selves. And what Nikki said was that, you know what, you go outside and you fake it for the world every single day. Come home and give us some of that as well. Right?
Yes.
Prioritize us. Make
Yes.
us, meaning the home space, valued as well.
Yes.
Right? We show up on time for work. We might even work overtime, right? We might even speed to get to work, right? When we're coming home, we're like, oh man, you know, change that to understand that this is the space that really creates value internally and externally. This is my sanctuary, my home, right?
Yes.
And so when I value this, I prioritize keeping this space a space where it's safe for me, safe for my wife, safe for my children. And then in that safe space, all of us are growing abundantly because we're intentional and valuing and pouring into that value that keeps all of us healthy.
What advice would you give couples, or, you know, they have their careers and like you say, you know, you'll rush to work. I mean, you know, you get there on time, but then for the family, you may not necessarily put that kind of energy into showing up. But we have to like work. You have to like do those things because you got to have the job or have the career, whatever. But then how do you keep that balance? Because you want to be able, I would think you want to give your best to your relationship, to your family, but you also have to give your best to the work and the career, the job, because you got to support. So how do you balance that?
Right. We give our best to the world and we see the world flourish. Right?
Yeah.
We see the world flourish. We see our jobs, you know, people getting promotions, you know, bonuses. But where is the bonus that comes to the home, right?
Right. Our relationships are being decimated.
There you go, right? So what you're asking is a shift in our mental and emotional and spiritual state, meaning we have to now prioritize those things that are deemed valuable to us, right? And the family must have value again.
Yes.
The word mother must have value again.
Yes.
The word father must have value again, you know, to where the outside world isn't less valuable, but we've then extended that value to be seen in our homes as well. So this is the advice that I'll tell people, right? Start with understanding your value, right? See where your time has been going, right? And then when you understand that there is an imbalance in the things that you value, be gracious to yourself and understand that that's a part of a program that we're all in to then show up for the world, right? To show up at work on time,
right?
Show up for your friend, family members, and then neglect yourself, neglect your significant other, neglect your kids, even to take care of what you have to take care of outside. No, the ecosystem that is inside is what really helps the outside maintain itself. For every balanced family,
so true.
You can see the community benefit from that balanced family.
Yes.
Those kids go to school differently, right? They show up differently, right? You go to work way more balanced. You're way more productive, right?
Yeah.
You then have to understand that because my family is priority, I have to then say no to certain things, and I have to say yes to certain things as well. That's a shift, and that shift sometimes people have to prepare themselves for, because that shift that you go through, the world isn't going through with you, because you know, now you're going counterclock to everyone that's going clockwise. There's going to be some changes. There's going to be some shift. There's going to be some things that make others feel uncomfortable. That's okay. And in this change, you're going to attract more healthy relationships, but you're going to repel a lot of those relationships that weren't valuable to begin with. So value that safe space within the relationship and the family, prioritize that, and watch the changes take place. Meaning, see how God will provide those things to keep you balanced. See how the universe will open up a pathway for you to then find healthier career paths to where they won't take advantage of you. There are a lot of companies now that value family way over the bottom line. They understand that family is the bottom line.
Yeah, it was help companies grow.
Exactly, right?
Because you're coming in there feeling fulfilled, and from your family, and I'm glad you said that, because I was going to ask about, you know, the world doesn't value, you know, mother or father or the relationship, but I'm glad you said that there are companies now who are putting like, you know, more emphasis on that.
Right. And then that's where we shift because we dictate the pace outside, right? We've allowed the outside pace to dictate how we live on
Yeah.
the inside, and
Yeah.
we've seen the results of it. We've
Yeah.
seen how dysfunctional our families are. We've seen how dysfunctional adolescents can be. We've seen how dysfunctional marriages can be, right?
Yes.
Because we've allowed society to then deem what's valuable to us.
Right.
Get back to those basic things, right? The
Yeah.
family nucleus is so valuable because that's the ecosystem for the future.
Yes.
We're creating a space to then raise our children in so they can have balance mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and be productive members of society to then contribute to the benefit of what a healthy family creates.
Oh, I love that. That is wonderful. What are some of the top tips that you would give new couples avoiding common pitfalls?
Yeah. One of those top tips is stay off social media and comparing your relationship to everybody else's.
We were going to talk about that next. Yes.
Yeah. That's one of my top tips because I think we've allowed what social media shows us to be standards.
Yes.
In relationships, you know.
So true.
And you're not creating something like everyone else. My relationship is my relationship. You can find value in what I have, but don't try to have what I have.
Right.
Try to create something that's special for you.
Yes.
So understanding you more than looking for examples of what is healthy, right? Because what's healthy for one person may not be healthy for another person. And so
that's good. Yeah.
Once we remove those expectations that the world, social media brings to us, then we can focus on, man, what do I actually want?
Yes.
What do I actually need?
Yes.
What do I actually desire? You know, and then we can start focusing on our own creation rather than seeing what, you know, this celebrity couple has succeeded in, or, you know, your friend from high school and what they're doing, you know. No, that's not valuable. And you're not in a race to then get to this destination of a relationship.
Well, you know, that's the crazy thing because like we're talking about the world again, it makes us feel like we're in some kind of competition.
Right.
Like, and I think social media in one instance, it can be a blessing because I've been able to connect with so many people and be able to, you know, talk and communicate with people I probably never would have been. But then you have the challenge for the relationships with the social media, like you said, influencing everything, how we communicate, you know, how we perceive our partners, how we perceive ourselves. Like, you know, I just lost my thought on that, you know, how like the competition.
Right.
And when you say that what's good for one isn't good for, may not be good for the other.
Right.
How do we like, once again, like you said it earlier, we have to be introspective. We have to determine what do we like, what's good for us, not what's good for what we saw on social media and think, oh, let's do that because they seem to be thriving. Perhaps they are. We don't really know.
Right. We don't know. People take great pictures together.
Yes.
Right. They take great pictures together. And it's just a moment. Right. And it's not to say that we don't wish them well. I hope that all couples are doing well. But I want to know what my wellness feels like.
Yeah.
Looks like, sounds like.
Yes.
Right. And then make sure that I'm paying attention to what I can do to create that. You know? And so there's a lot that we can do. And I think what we need to start doing is being okay with where we are. You know?
Yes.
When you're single, man, be single and be joyful. You know, love your life. Love the space that you have. Love the intentionality you can create for this time, energy that you have. But when you're in a relationship, of course, be intentional in that as well. And understand that that's yours to then create the relationship of your choice, of what you desire. Right.
Yeah.
And so we can't chase after something, right? Trying to get to a destination that someone else put out there before us.
Yes.
Right? And so sometimes we rush to say that I'm in a relationship because you don't want to be lonely. We rush to say that I'm engaged because that's what everybody's expecting of you. We rush because we don't want to be lonely, and then we compromise. And then before you know it, start from the beginning again. You're allowing way more of those red flags instead of those green flags to be present in that space. You know?
Yeah.
So take your time, man. You know, this is the life that we have. Let's really take our time and try to enjoy it at our best.
Yeah.
Right?
I know I'm trying to do that now. Stay in the moment because I'm so like always so far in the future, 20 years in the future, and I'm realizing I'm so far in the future that I'm not in the present to really truly prepare for it, because I'm just trying to, but it's this moment that helps to prepare for that down the line. And if I'm not here, how can I truly prepare for down there?
Right. And then when you're there in the future, sometimes you're there in an unhealthy way. You're there and you're anxious.
Yeah.
You're anxious. You're
spent all this time being anxious and stressed out about there, and never took the time to be relaxed.
Exactly. And you know what happens in that moment? Because you're so focused on the anxiety of what's coming, you miss out on what's prepared for you right then and there. The table is set for you, right? Yeah. All of the settings, right? Everything is there for you, but your mind is so focused on something far away that's causing you anxiety that you can't even see the blessings that's right around you.
So true. So true.
And so, yes, we can spend time in the future. Yes, we can plan, but we have to make sure that we are present and grateful for those opportunities, for the space that we have right here.
Right now. Absolutely. Right now, Matt, walk us through, and we probably said some of these. You said some, the complexities of social media's role in relationships.
Yes. Yeah. Social media is, like you said, that fine thing that is also the gift and the curse, right? Because social media is a great space to connect, even start dating, find people you can, but it's making sure you understand that that's not where we socialize in real time. That's not where we create real intimacy, right? You can connect there, and have intimacy there, but I think we have to remove the understanding that social media now dictates how I feel and how I interact and how I socialize. No, I mean, we have to get back to the basics of picking up the phone, right? Meeting somebody for coffee.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Or writing a pinned letter, even.
That's actually writing.
Yes, writing. People forget how to write because all they do is text and type, right? So get back to the things that make sense for your pace, and then here's where social media can be something that is healthy, right? Social media can allow you to then forecast, a desire, right? Meaning you can see spaces that you want to travel, you can see homes that you want to explore, you can still utilize it for the good that's there. But when you start to then see inadequacy in you based on someone else's state of life, then that's where it starts to become detrimental. When you start to spend too much time and value that space outside of reality. Meaning, here's one example, and you can tell me if this is true for real. I heard that a couple, true story, broke up with each other because the boyfriend didn't wish the girlfriend happy birthday on social media.
Oh my gosh.
Right? I'm right here with you. Happy birthday. But because I didn't announce it to the world, right? Then that means you don't value me. We have to remove that level of, pressure that we put on people to then live out loud. Right?
Yes.
You remember the Truman Show? The Truman Show?
Yes.
With Jim Carrey? That's where we are right now. To where social media is that I have to be so present online that you have
with
to
everybody else.
Everything. And what that does is that it allows your life to be scrutinized. It allows your relationship to be scrutinized. It allows you to then have to compare and contrast what you're doing, what outfits you're wearing. God forbid that you wear the same thing twice, right? And have to take it, that's too much pressure,
It is. So I'm going to talk about something I saw on social media, and this is crazy. I learned about AI and how to use these programs to create and, do different things online. And this girl was showing how you have like AI influencers now. So they're like, whatever for the people who are influencing, we have AI influencers, and it's not even it's not a real person.
Right.
So here now, like, you really have to be careful because these people look real. Like, I'm calling them people. They actually look real because you can modify different, things, people or whatever you get off the internet to make your AI person. And they're making, like, they said $11,000 a day with this AI influencer because it looks so real. She's dancing. Of course, she's half naked. I mean, I guess that's part of it. Yeah. But, she has all these followers, and it's not, it's many of them out there. And yet here we are comparing ourselves, comparing our relationships to what's happening on social media. How can you do that? Because these are people aren't even real.
Right.
You know, so
yeah.
My question comes in to say, you know, how it's obviously important for us to establish boundaries around social media as a couple and around our social media use. So what are your suggestions in creating these boundaries? So we're not like, you know, messing up our good relationships. A relationship has the potential to be great and be gratifying for mutually gratifying.
Right. Yeah, you know, social media and the advent of AI is going to be very tricky to navigate, you know. And so what I say is that we should live most of our lives offline, right? And so there's a state where we can go online for the things that we have to go online for, social media, and, you know, do what we have to do. But there's a time when you have to then decide, is this healthy for me? Is this creating a balance for me that I really am benefiting from? And how is this benefiting the relationships that I'm in? You know, and then you have to ask yourself that real question. If it is causing you more detriment than it is health, then you have to create a boundary. You know, and so there's social media detox where you can take a week off, you can take a day off, you can take a month off, you can take a year off, right? You can pause because sometimes it's taking way more away from you than it's adding to you.
Yes.
To the point to where the comparison becomes too much. When you're comparing every single detail of your life to people, how they look physically, how they sound, how they dress, what they have access to, what they're driving, where they're eating, who they're traveling with, and all these other things. My goodness, it's too much.
Yeah, it is too much.
You know, so we find balance in by then living life the way we should be living it, and the way we should be living it is spending more time outside, more time with the people that we care about and value us, more time connecting with the hobbies and the things that make us feel alive. Get back to drawing. I started drawing more, started coloring more. I got a couple colors.
Nice.
Yes, you know, doing those things that connect us back to who we truly are, right?
Yeah.
Getting away from allowing what social media is showing us versus what we are naturally given by the Creator. That's right there for us.
Yes.
You know, there's a park almost on every corner. Go to the park, go for a walk, go out to the forest, go for a hike. Go to the beach, go for a swim, go to the river, go to the lake, right? Connect with friends, go bowling, get outside, but don't allow what social media is telling you to be the only information you are attuned to, right?
Yeah, because it's not even true, practically.
It's not even, basically, you know.
You know.
And so what is our truth?
Yes.
Right? What is our truth? You have to determine what that truth is. And I know for my truth is that I find balance in nature. I find balance in genuine connectivity. I find balance in seeing other people smile, you know, seeing other people happy, right?
Yeah.
But I also find balance in my heart's content, meaning when my heart is filled, then I bring that balance to the relationships as well.
Yeah. I like when you said seeing other people happy, because like I have not been a beach person. I don't think I was really been to the beach to like actually be there in, I don't know, since I was a kid.
Wow.
And so it was Memorial Day, I think it was. That was my first time going to the beach since a kid. And oh my gosh, I was like, this is where people have been. I mean, it was so wonderful to just see people smiling and enjoying each other, friends, you know, people who are, you know, husband and wives, and just, I mean, kids, everybody's running. They're just enjoying this space with each other and smiling and eating and drinking and laughing. I was like, where have I been all this time? People are doing stuff. What have I been doing?
There's a whole world waiting for us outside.
It's a whole world out there. Oh my gosh. And now I love going to the beach, setting up the tent, setting up the chairs, just laying out there, relaxing. But because before I'm thinking closing my eyes, I would never close my eyes with this many people around. There's no way. I'm going to sleep now. My dogs are out there. They're sleeping. Everybody's snoring, you know. It has been so enlightening, and just it really filled my heart to see that, and I have really just enjoyed that, and it's now creating more of a balance for me, because I would just be like working, trying to just like put things out. And now I'm trying to, like I said before, stay present, stay in the moment, enjoy my relationships. And it's taken me to be conscious, because I have to be conscious to do it. You know, I'm having to be intentional about it.
There you go.
But I'm hoping that it will come to that point where it's just happening. It's just flowing, and I get it, you know?
Yeah. Once you get it, then it's yours forever, you know?
Yeah.
Then you have that perspective forever. I'm glad that you had that opportunity to be back out in nature and enjoying what God has created for us, you know?
Yes.
You know, so I'm happy to hear that for you.
Well, I am so grateful you came on the show, talked about the relation. We have so much more to talk about, because I still had other stuff to talk about. And now this episode is coming to an end. And I'm like, no, everybody, you got to come back. You got to listen to what else we're going to talk about. I'm hoping we can come back next week. You know, if not, it's going to happen.
We can come back next week.
Fantastic. Oh, gosh, I'm excited.
Yes.
Boom, done. So we're going to come back and talk about the rest of it, because this is so, we need it. We need it in this world right now. Everything's changing so much. Robots are taking everything. And I mean, look, we want to be like God has, you know, ordained it to be in relationship with each other. And that's what this show is really all about. Let's connect, and connecting, like you say, like being the beach, connecting with nature, just connecting with our true selves without the world dictating how we're supposed to be. So I'm so grateful. Thank you for coming on. We're going to see you next week, Matt.
Yes.
I'll come back and listen to the Planet Rock podcast. And don't forget to catch this episode also on YouTube. I'm trying to remember. And Matt, where can they find you?
They can find me on all platforms at Matt Genius, MattJeanius, as spelled. You can find me, connect with me, send me questions, send me, your thoughts and opinions about the show. I'd love to hear from you guys and engage with you on a personal note. So get in the DMs, right? Get in the DM at Matt Genius.
Get in the DMs for sure.
Ask questions. Send your questions to the show. We would love to hear your own questions that you guys may have. Get in contact with me. I'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. I gotta start saying that. Send your questions.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what y'all do. Y'all heard it from Matt. Let's do it.
Send the questions in. We love to hear from you guys.
Absolutely. See you next week, you guys. Thank you for joining us on the Planet Rock podcast. What an awesome show full of insight and inspiration. Thank you to our guests and listeners. Look forward to hearing us next week on envision-radio.com at 12 noon, right here on Planet Rock.